Hi, everybody, and welcome to our seventh session of Tunisian Crochet Club, where we're doing the sampler shawl. And show you mine up till now. It actually looks a lot like it did last month because the two new sections are actually fairly narrow stripes, but it reintroduces, if you're following the color scheme, A, B, C, and D, it reintroduces your color A again and brings in these two colors. So we're getting some repeating of colors started, which is quite nice. It's going to be a very fast class because um, these stitches are stitches that we've really kind of done before. It's just a different, either we're doing them on their own or it's a new combination. So today we're going to go over section 8, just like knitting, which is the knit stitch, which we've been doing all along, but just not only the knit stitch. So I'll show that. And then section 9, two-tone, we have done a two-color section. This one's a little bit different, and I have a little tip for you that was not in the pattern. So it's worth the price of admission right there. So you don't make the same mistake I did. All right, let me switch over here. There we go. Okay. So here's my little sample, my little morph of I'm gonna have to frame this when I'm done. My little swatch that I've worked on. So I've created a new center here so I don't have to keep going as the rows got longer to demonstrate. So all I've done here so far is I've done my transition row. Let's move in a little bit there. In my new color, which was simply to do the slip stitch in your new color. That was all there was for a transition row for section 8. So let's pick it up after the transition here. When I'm doing regular crochet, I always remember to pull a big loop so things don't fall off my hook. I never remember in Tunisian. I don't know why. Here we go. Let's finish this. Okay, so the knit stitch, which we have been doing in combination with other stitches, as well as always our center stitch is a knit stitch, and I've lost my marker. There's my center stitch, is a knit stitch. So this is not a new stitch. We just have not done it all the way across a row before. So we'll do our increase. And then remember, the knit stitch goes between the front leg of the bar, the front bar and the back bar. It goes in between and kind of divides it. So you do have to hunt for that space. You don't want to go in between stitches. You definitely want to go between the front and the back bar because you will be able to tell if you miss some of these because you won't get that nice even knit stitch look. So we'll do this cross. We even have to start a new one. These rows are starting to get long. And again, you do your center increase. So here's our full stitch and our knit stitch, and then another full stitch. Put my center marker back, and then go back to the knit stitch. Now what you will find, I'm gonna cut it off here. Pretend I've done my increase and I'm gonna return pass back. What you're gonna find when you only do the knit stitch, not in combination with anything else, and if you are a knitter, this will not surprise you, that when you just do the knit stitch, it is going to curl. It is going to roll. And that happens because the tension from the front of the fabric is not even with the tension in the back of the fabric. This happens when you're doing knitting. If you knit one side and purl the other, it's called stockinette stitch, and you get what looks like this knit stitch on the front. It will always roll, and it's because of the difference in the tensions. Which is why it's been used in combination with other things, and why there's only 4 rows of this. Because it would be the next pattern will help kind of pull out that roll, but if we had done a lot of it, there would be a lot of curling. All right, so we return pass back. And then, so it doesn't look like much just yet. You're starting to get the little knit stitch, which it should look like the letter V interlocking all the way up. This next row will seal it up for you. So my increase and then knit stitch again. I'm just going to do a few here so you can see. And I'm going to return pass back just so you can see what that knit stitch looks like. When you've done a couple of rows. So I bring up the rolling because I don't want you to think you've done something wrong or that there's a way to fix it. There really isn't. It just is going to do that. So it's already starting, you can see starting to curl a little, but you do get a really nice, like the little V's laying, interlocking with each other all the way lined up. Let me show you on the one I've completed. So it looks really nice. It looks like a piece of ribbing. It almost looks like there's a purl stitch in between. But it is very nice, but it definitely wants to roll over. So I've just started the next stitch. So that's going to help pull it up. But if you like the stitch and it's lovely, that's something you need to know about that stitch is that it's a roller. So you're going to need to, on your edges, probably do something. I know there are patterns out there done in the knit stitch. So I'm sure there are things that accommodate for it by putting maybe some alternating stitches on the ends to help keep it lined up. And then maybe bookmarking it between other stitches to help keep the tension flat. Okay, so there's our honeycomb into our knit stitch. So that's a pretty easy one. The only thing I really wanted to say is it definitely rolls and it's not your fault. Now, the next one, the two-tone, on first look was very similar to what was that one called? The brickwork, the last one that we did in two colors. And if you'll remember when we did the brickwork here, we did the forward pass in one color and the return pass in a different color. And you had all these ends, which was a pain. Don't cut your yarn. She does say in the pattern here, working the simple stitch. So we're just doing the simple stitch in two colors and carrying each color from the return of the previous row into the forward pass of the next row. It's a lot of words, and I read right over it and it didn't occur to me. So it wasn't until I got started that I realized, and I cut my yarn at the end to do my return pass in a different color, and I realized I shouldn't have. So let's do two-tone. So two-tone, we'll have a transition row. And the transition row is the knit stitch in your new color. And my new color is, let's see. Should be attached here. Where is it? Oh, on the floor. Okay. Let's get Great. So I'm using my color D, which is this kind of sagey green, and I'm going to do the knit stitch. So let me just do a few here so we can get the idea. My full stitch and my knit stitch. I found that if I kind of used my fingers to kind of feed my fabric along, I was able to kind of open up so that I could get my hook in between that front and back bar pretty easy. Okay, so I'm not going to go all the way to the center on this one. And then you're going to do your return pass in your color E, but do not cut your color D. Okay, so let me get my other end because I'm attached to both pieces here now. I'm going to do my return pass in this one. Now, when we did the last one, the brickwork, when we were switching colors, when we got to the end here, then we did our forward pass in a new color, in the second color. We're not going to do that. We're going to do the forward pass in this color we've got in our hands right now. So I'm going to get to the end here, and we're going to be doing simple stitch. So full, and then simple stitch. Easy, easy. Pull off some more yarn here. Get pattern out of the way. There we go. Simple stitch across. You'll do your center increase as usual. And when you get to the end, so we've done the return pass in this color and now a forward pass in this color. And when I get to the end, I'm going to drop that one, pick up the one that I did not cut, and do my return pass now in color D. D, right? We're doing D and E in this one, yeah. And this one you only do the transition row and then 2 rows. So this goes pretty quick. So here, and when I get, so that is the end of row 1. And then row 2, I'm going to do my forward pass in this. Again, just simple stitch. And when you get to the end, I'll do my return pass in the yarn that's waiting down here for me. Let me do the last one. Chain 1. Nope, I don't want to use the tail. Nope. There we go. So don't cut those ends. So you've got a forward pass and a return pass. You're alternating the colors, so you get a two-tone look. Whoop. Come on. There we go. You get this really cool two-tone look. And actually, I should have done that return pass in the next color for the next pattern. But you're alternating, so your return pass alternates colors. So you're only supposed to do 2 pattern rows plus the transition row. So this was my transition and my 2 patterns. I should have return passed in my color G, so I'm ready to do my transition row in.
No, I don't see. Oh, what do you mean?
Yep, yep. It says chain, at the end of the
At
return
the
pass.
end, it's at
At
the
the
end.
end, you're absolutely right. At the end, you would switch. I did this exactly right. Thank you so much, Aura. At the end, then you would switch to your color G, so you're ready to do your transition row.
Mhm,
So that's all it is. It's just the 3 rows.
mhm.
One and alternates the return pass and the forward pass. So my colors are kind of low contrast. Yours is going to look different if you've got high contrast colors here, but I kind of like it.
Mhm.
Yep. And that's all there is for this month. Pretty easy. It's a nice catch-up month if you're behind.
Yes.
Which
Yeah, they're getting long, the rows.
I know it because the rows are getting longer. I appreciate that they are not terribly deep at this point.
So after that, next time we're only doing section 10.
Yeah, we're just going to do the bobbles next month because, like you said, those rows are getting longer. And I think this from now on, we'll just be doing 1 stitch a month,
Okay.
saving on the very last one, we'll be doing the ribbing and the border.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, so we are
Mhm.
cruising through.
Yeah,
Yep.
looking good.
Yeah.
All righty.
Any questions? I didn't think there would be, but
Nah.
all good. Okay, well, I hope you're enjoying this. I'm really glad
Mhm.
to see we've had so many people sticking with it.
Yep.
Yeah,
It really is. I love how
This is a good project.
this
yeah,
been a great project. It really has. And as I see some of these Tunisian stitches and other things, it's so nice to see like, oh, I absolutely know how to do that. And that wouldn't be so hard. So this
Yeah.
has been a lot of fun. Yep.
well,
And if it's a stitch that you're not too fond of, then you know it'll end.
yeah,
It does have an ending. Yes. I have put little check marks by the one if I see this again.
yeah.
All right, everybody.
All righty.
A great month, and I'll see you next time.
Well,
Okay.
see you this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see you at the retreat.
Yes, I'll be there.
Yay!
All righty.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.